All right, today's Daf Tzadi Gimel. Now we had a machlokes says we're going to continue to go into, and the way to remember it is Rav holds like Rove, right? Rav says you go on to the majority case like this, you can assume, and it has to do, as we'll soon bring in the mission of the case. And Shmuel says no, in the case of Mammon, we do not go after the Rove. So Rav says we go after the Rove, Rav, and Shmuel says we do not. So let's see. Tashma 2 on the top and side Gimel Amud Aleph. Short shinaga because a para. Benimsa ubra besida. So an animal gored another a cow, an ox, right? And all of a sudden, and the guy goes there, he sees it gored, and there's a fetus and miscarried on the side. They don't know if it was before the animal was gored, it miscarried, and then the animal gored, and therefore the owner of the ox that gored is not responsible for the miscarriage. Or maybe the animal gored it, and because of the goring, it caused the miscarriage, and then the person would be chayiv to pay. So we don't know. So Mishalim Chatzi Nezek Lepara. So for the cow itself, and now this is, let's say, a short time. So short time you pay Chatzi Nezek, right? It's a possible in the Torah, but just we'll leave it at that. That you pay Chatzi Nezek in a case of, let's say, a first or second time offense, and therefore you got to go ahead and for the mother cow, it obviously gored it, and therefore you got to go ahead and pay half. But the other for the miscarriage, do you pay for half or do you pay zero? So we do not know, and therefore if you're a you give a quarter. Right, like Sumkos says, right? The yachloku, right? Any money that's in doubt, right, and it's neither one is so therefore, yeah, the one says, why don't you go after the majority of paros? V'rov paros misavos v'yoldos, and most animals that are pregnant miscarry. And by the fact that this one did not miscarry, right, it should be obvious, like Alan's vote, that it was because of the goring. They
don't miscarry; they give birth. Most cows.
Right. And this one miscarried. So why did it miscarry? It must have been because of the goring.
Oh, I see.
Therefore, we'll say it's not, right? Since it was out of the ordinary, it must have occurred from an out of ordinary situation, i.e. being gored. And therefore, you should go after the Rov. And the Rov says you should be chayiv, not a quarter nezek, but should be chati nezek. So our answer is no, Hasan, Mashun, the Sekel, over there's a subbing there. And anyways, maybe you can say over there, Makma also Biasa, Hipila. You can say like this: the animal saw the ox, the cow saw the ox running at it with its horns ready to gore. So the animal could have been so frightened, right, because it saw it coming, that it miscarried. And the halacha is that one who frightens someone, even a person who frightens someone, you're not chayiv for damages, right? So over here, it was the owner, the animal that frightened the owner of the ox. His animal frightened it, so you're not chayiv for frightened. So therefore, you patur. So maybe it miscarried as before because it saw it coming, or because I'll say gored from behind. I mean, and then it was gored, and it was direct a direct result from that. And therefore, since we don't know whether it miscarried from the fear or miscarried from actual goring, and therefore this money is left in doubt, and any money that's left in doubt is divided between the two parties. Fine. So Leima Kitanai, let's say the Nachleges Rav, who says Holechach Rov v'Mamon, and Shmuel says we do not go after the Rov. Leima Kitanai. Let's say it's this Nachleges name. Shor Shayaroy Avanim Shor Harug Batzido. All right, another case for Alan, our detective. Right. So what does he rule in this case? Let's see. So you see an ox that was grazing, and all of a sudden you go over there and you see that there is an animal next to it. Let's say another ox that was gored, that was killed. And and even though this animal was a shor muad, right? The shor muad was still there grazing, like nothing happened, and the other one is got gored to death. Or v'zeh muad, all right, aligach. Now this one is this was gored, and this is normally gore. Or what I case is one animal spins zemenushach, v'zeh muad liishach. The other one is known to bite, right? So. What about this case? You don't say that it could be, but it's not for sure. So therefore, since it's not for sure, right? So we'll say that maybe it didn't for your potter. For Rav Acha Omer, no. Gamal ha'ocher rabbeinu gamal. And let's say you have a camel, right? That's amongst the other camels, and they were mating over there. That's a gamal rabbeinu gamal. V'nimsa gamal harug. But see now, there's another. They were, I guess, fighting over mating rights, and there's a camel there that's dead on the side. But see though, biadua shiza hargu. You know that this one killed it. In other words, according to Rabbi Acha, right? Rabbi Acha says we could assume, right? We could assume that the camel caused the other camel's death, as opposed to the other case.
Camel.
Kick? I guess kick or biting. I don't know. I think they kick. They have a pretty violent kick. Yeah.
Yeah, extra knuckle.
Yeah, so he said, where it says Svura. So now what's the machlokes going on here? So Svura, Deruba, v'chazaka, kiadadinino. So you want to say that maybe that there's a rov and the chazaka are really the same type of things. So Lema Rav Demakravacha. Let's say Rav, who holds that you go after the rov, will hold like Rav Acha, who says there's a chazaka that this animal while mating is very violent and therefore it was responsible. Shmuel Damar, Tanakama, Shmuel said that Tanakama says, you know what? Yes, even though this animal normally gores, but we didn't see it gore, so we can't just assume it's muchza. You can't assume the chazaka. So maybe chazaka and rov is like the same thing. So Rav, Tanakama, I can say the Tanakama. The Tanakama normally hold rov in this case. So why doesn't say rov in this case? Let's say the goring. So I'd come out of Tanakama hasam ella delay lina bas chazaka. He says you don't have to go with chazaka. Right, the chazaka in this animal is a gore. Nevertheless, we don't go after the chazaka. But normally, if it was a case of a rov, the Tanakama would agree with me, says Rav. But he would go after the rov. Shmuel would say, I can say like Rabbi Acha, who goes like the chazaka in this case of a camel. So ad can like chazaka. You go after chazaka. That's different. The kufa moves up because we see the animal was it itself is under dispute, and it died likely from what the chazaka from the other camel. The one that was mating with Aval Basa Ruba, right? But to go after the rov, then maybe the Rabbi Acha Loyazim does not go after. So therefore, it's not necessarily the machlokes, but now we'll introduce another machlokes tonight that perhaps could be like Rav and Shmuel. So Tashma for once on the bottom side of Gimel Aleph, Tashma Meicher Peiros the Chavero. Let's go to our Mishnah. This is our Mishnah from yesterday. One who goes ahead and sells Peiros to his friend. Right, I sell Peiros to Randy. Zoran v'loitzimchu. Randy plants them, and they do not sprout. They do not start to hold. Now, remember, right? Seeds can be used for two things: either planting or eating, right? Or fruits, right? You buy apples either for the apple seeds or to eat the apple. Now, so they did not go ahead and sprout. Even if it's zarapishtin, it's like flaxseed, right? Which are normally used for planting, not eating, right? Says the Tanakama, is not chai gachrayis. So my afilu, what does it mean the word afilu? Lav afilu zarapishtin. What does it mean? That even though zarapishtin normally flaxseed deruba lizriyas, we need that most of the majority of times are sold for the purpose of planting. Nevertheless, you don't go after the rov. So therefore, you see, like Shmuel, you don't go after the rov. Even though rov times that people buy flax seeds for planting, as Randy says, hey, I want my money back, it didn't grow. It says you never said it was for growing. So you don't go after the rov there. So Gemara's answers tonight, machlokes tonight. The Tanya, let's look at this brisa. Now we're going to bring a brisa that actually was a three-way, sort of looks like a two-way machlokes, but it's really three ways. The Tanya, the brisa, same exact case. One goes ahead and sells fruits to his friend, and he play out v'zaron v'leit simchu. Now, if they were zreinegina, if they were garden seed, shein and nechlin, that are not eaten, in other words, if they're not eaten, then that means they're planted and they didn't grow. And Randy says, "Give my money back." Then I got to go ahead and I'm obligated to go ahead and return his money. Why? Because these are not edible, right? And zarapishtin, and let's say he purchased zarapishtin, flaxseed.
Isn't I'm upset from maybe you didn't water the plants. Why hold the guy responsible for sowing seeds? Maybe you did something wrong, you were negligent, and then don't you?
So he would have to
from him. Don't you have to prove that you?
So he was right. So if the guy was negligent, you would have to prove that the guy was negligent.
Well, who's got the money out? Seeds are in the hand of the money. You want to go from it's from the mofer.
Right, but we know it's faulty.
We don't know it's faulty. Maybe he did something wrong. Yeah.
Yes, we can assume that they looked at that and that they.
Right.
They decided that he didn't do anything wrong, it's just.
So I guess these
Question
questions,
is whether
whether
it's
it's
human.
investigation first before you.
Right, there's right.
It's an easy thing, I'll just leave it there, I'm not gonna be like, all right, rain, it doesn't rain.
Right.
I guess fault.
Right, so I guess you'd have to prove that, otherwise. Yeah,
Or.
let me think about it. Fine, I think other cases where, where it's automatically assumed that you get your money back. So anyway, so we say, but let's say it was flaxseed, which is the majority of time, i.e. a rove, you do not go after, right, the majority of flaxseed, right? So according to the Tanakama, all right, let's remember that. Sounds like Shmuel. Don't go after the rove. Rabbi Yossi says, okay, no. Flaxseed, the rove is planting. It didn't plant. Top of Beit Side Gimel. No days. It didn't no for flaxseed. It didn't grow. You go after the rove and you pay it. So it sounds like Rav. So Amr Lo. So they responded, right, which is similar to Tanakh, but not exactly Tanakh doesn't see. So he says, no, no, people buy flax seeds for different reasons, right? People buy flax seeds for different reasons, therefore not necessarily for this, and therefore you can say that you're not chayav to pay. So man tonight, who's this machlokes tonight that you were suggesting, Rav and Shmuel? Rabbi Yossi, Amr Lo. If it's the second opinion of Rabbi Yossi that says you got to go ahead and pay him, or the last opinion where it says Vamru Lo, and he says, hey, many people buy for other reasons. So Tarvayu Basaruba Azli, right? They're both using a rove, right? Mar Aza Basaruba Inchi. One is going after why most people, what they do with it. Mar Aza Basaruba Dizriya. And the other one say, no, the most plantings go ahead and work. So each one is using a rove, and therefore it's not like Shmuel. So you can't say that's Rav and Shmuel are arguing one of these opinions. Ella, Tanakama Rabbi Yossi. Rather, you can say like this. Either it's a Tanakama, right, who says you do not go after the rove, and Rabbi Yossi who says you do the rove. Oh, Tanakama, or it's Tanakama who says you go after the rove and says that what's it called? That you don't go after the rove. And then the last opinion where it's the Amrulo, and they say to him that what's it called? They say that you go after that many people buy for other reasons, so therefore that would also go after the rove. So Shmuel would hold the Tanakama, and Rav would hold either like Rabbi Yossi, who uses a rove in one way in terms of what the reason why most people do it for, versus or the third opinion, which is also like go after the rove of rove plantings go ahead and work, and therefore this one rove are for planting, so therefore this one didn't go after the rove, and therefore you got to go ahead and reimburse. So Tana Rabbanan, Mahu Noisin Lo. What does he go ahead and pay back? So now we're moving on a step. We go according to the opinion that says that the guy gets the money back, right? According to the side, you hold the money back. So what does he get back? Mahu Noisin Lo. So Demei Zera, V'loi Hoitzo. So you go ahead and you only give him this money back, but not for the time you wasted planting. That's on you. You hired a worker, you went ahead and you wasted 5 days planting, whatever it is. Lo Hoitzo. Some say Af Hoitzo. Some say no. In addition to giving his money back, you also have to pay for his expenses. So man Yesham, who's the Yesham? It's the opinion of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. So Yoris says, okay, that's fine. But which Rabbi Shimon Gamliel? High Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. If it's Rabbi Shimon Gamliel from our Mishnah, which we're going to read right now, so let's see what the Mishnah says. Mishnah says. Chazer again. I mean, the Tanan Hamayich pays a chaver. One who goes and says spruce to his friend, the zar, and the guy plants it like tzimchu, and they did not go ahead and sprout. Jafilu zerapisha, and even if it's flaxseed, Eino chayiv brachriyason. He's not chayiv in that case. And over there, ema seifa. So, and then the seifa says, Rabbi Shimon, skip the parentheses. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Aimer zeruni gina shenenachlim chayiv brachrayis. But garden seeds which are not eaten, those you're chayiv, right? So those are chayiv. So Rabbi Shimon Gamliel comes to say, right, that you're chayiv in the case of these garden seeds which are never eaten. Now, what would the Tanakama say about that case? I understand the Tanakama nami hachikamar zera pishtin flax seeds who they know chayiv b'chayason. That's not chayiv rayis. Why? Because sometimes they're used for other reasons. Therefore, you can't prove to me that they're made for planting, and therefore I'm not chayiv because they didn't work for planting because I never sold to you for planting. Zurnigina, but garden seeds, which are she'ena necha, which are never eaten, according to Tanakama, would be chayv b'achriyos. So that's the same thing as Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. So what's Rabbi Shimon Gamliel coming to add? Right, that you're chayv b'achriyos and something that's not edible. That of course is for planting. Both the Tanakama and Shimon Gamliel agree to it. So what was Rabbi Shimon Gamliel coming to add? Maybe he's adding like this: El lav hotzayik. Maybe he can say he's coming to say, no. Not only do you reimburse for the seeds, you got to reimburse for the expenses. Mar Sava Demei Zera. The Tanakh goes to Demei Zera. Mar Sava then comes in Rosh Hashanah and says, Apoitza. Then no, not only the seeds, but also even the expenses. The Gemara says, Bimai. Who says that the Tanakhama says only the Zera and not the expenses? Versus Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says also the expenses. Dilma Ivcha, maybe it's the opposite. The Gemara says, well, that's not a kasha. Holoi kasha. Koltana basa l'tfuyi milsa kosi. Right? Someone who comes later in the Mishnah is coming to add. In other words, so it can't be that the Tanakama was the one who says you pay for expenses and the seed, and comes in Shimon Gamliel says you only pay for the seeds. Rather, it must be the opposite. The Tanakama says you only pay for the seeds, and comes in Shimon Gamliel says no, you also pay for his expenses. So the Gemara says no, deflects this proof. The dilba cooler Shimon Gamliel. Perhaps our entire mission is really depending on Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. The Chasuri Machshva, it's really missing a part. This is what it says. One who goes and sells fruits to his friend, and he plants him, and they didn't go ahead and sprout the filu zarapish, and even his flax, which are normally planted. Nevertheless, you're not chai b'achrayis, because he didn't state that was the reason. It perhaps could have been purchased for other reasons. Divrei Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. This is the opinion of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Add those words. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, as Rabbi Shimon, he himself says. I'm just get the parentheses again. Zeruni gina she'ena nechlin chai b'achrayis, because he says that things are only for planting, such as garden seeds, which are not eaten. That is chai b'achrayis. So only those things. Ela hadar Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. So, and therefore we fully say that really maybe Rosh Gamliel was the author of the Mishnah, and therefore maybe the entire Mishnah just means that you pay for the expenses, and he's not they only pay for the seeds, and you're not paying for the seeds plus the expenses. So which Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, in addition to paying what you have to, i.e. his purchase price, give him his money back, you also have to pay for expenses. Where do we see Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says you got to add to your payment? So Allah, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, this is Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. The Tani when Raisa, Hamolech Gitin Letachon, one who goes out and brings his wheat to his local grinder, Litzan, and he doesn't go ahead and grind it well. He doesn't moisten it first, v'asan subin or marsin, and then he makes it basically like bran. He doesn't make it into the fine flour he wanted. Or kamel v'nachlam, or he brings flour over to the baker. V'yafon, he to make a nice challah. V'yafon pas niful, and he bakes him a bread that's fallen apart. Or behemel tabach, he brings his animal to the sheikhet. V'nifla, and he makes a nevela. Chayev. The person is chayiv because that guy is getting paid. The guy is getting paid. He's responsible. You didn't shechta right. You made a treif. Well, you got to pay me. Right? You made an available pay me. Rav Gamliel adds to that, says, in addition to paying for the principal, i.e., that which you provided the person, right? You go ahead, you have company over, all of a sudden you have no meat to serve. So not only does the butcher have to pay you for the meat that you brought, for the animal that you brought to him, but he also has to pay you for the additional expenses of your embarrassment and the embarrassment of having to orchim there. As Rabbi Shimon would say.
Seeds, you say some people say you have to pay for the expenses. What about the future produce that you didn't get because the seeds didn't work? Would you have to pay for that?
That's
because you're expecting to sell it in the market, make money, and now I don't have that.
Right. So that'd be like that'd be tort law or something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Now you're being chazer.
To fast the river.
Exactly.
Why? Where is the Shlomo say this? Because he says, "Mina gadol hayabishalayim." So there's a custom in Yerushalayim. It's a hamay sudo chavera. The kilkla, a person goes ahead and he sends a meal to his friend and he ruins it. And nice like right? And he ruins it. Right. So the nice like to make he has to not only pay him for you didn't make him the proper food, but also his embarrassment and his embarrassment for the guests. And another wise custom they had at Yerushalayim, Mapa Prusa Agave Pesach. They used to go ahead and put up like a flag or some tablecloth or waving by the door. I calls Ban Shemapa Prusa. Anytime that flag or that that tablecloth was hanging up and waving in the wind, and then people know, hey, green light, the house is open. Let's go in. However, it needs to go. Mapa. Once they had and took down the sheet,
Like the cowboy hat.
then Eina Orech Nichnas. Then you know what? They're taking a Shabbos nap and no more. Don't come in. All right, maybe we'll just stop here at the Mishnah tomorrow. Hashem. Yeah, you gotta get tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's a new day. I understand your disappointment. So tomorrow, Hashem, we will go ahead and continue from here. Everyone have a